Thugtician, once again, excellent video, brother. And usually when I watch most videos, I have to come and clarify certain things or clear things up or just add something on, just for my own, self. And with you pretty much lay it down flat. So all I can do is just come behind you and co-sign. But I do want to do a preemptive strike on where you were going toward the end of the video with black men, and how when women say that there's no good black men in the community, and there might be some credence to that. I go to the definition of power, and I don't know who came up with this definition. It's unnamed for me. Maybe someone else can tell me. But the definition is: power is the ability to define your own reality and have others submit to your definition as if it were their own. What I like to know is, how is eating the crumbs that fall from the table of white men an act of power? How is being the wives of white men, meaning you consider yourself rich by association? White men are rich, so if you can get as close as you can to rich white men, then you're rich. Doesn't that sound like a basketball player's wife? I mean, when are we going to define power and stick to that definition and let our actions jibe in line with that definition? And there's a lot of legitimacy to this. There are no good black men. Ultimatics one time made a statement that if we had 10 good black men in New York City, we wouldn't have any problems. And he was making a reference to the 100 Black Men organization. He said, we don't have 100 black men in New York City. If we had 10, there'd be a change. 100, we would run things. Because a man needs to have power. A man wants power. A man can't cede power to another man. And there's a conflict going on right now. We don't have empowerment in our community, meaning we don't have a social, economic, and political infrastructure in our community. It doesn't exist. And I'm going to make a vlog in the future called In Search of We, based on a paper that I had written a few years back. And the whole thesis of the paper was, when black people talk about we need to do this and us and our this and us and all of these terms that they use, these group terms and collective terms, I think that we need to realize that from a social, economic, and political standpoint, there is no us, there is no our, there is no we. So I always want to know, when I hear those terms, who are you talking about? Because black people have this strange thing that we do. We talk about things collectively, from a collective standpoint, but then when it comes time to problem solving, we personalize it and make it individual. I'm one of those people that I just need some consistency in an argument or in a discussion. If you're going to take a certain line of logic, let your actions fall in line with that logic. I mean, let me give an example. Integration versus nationalism. You say, well, we need an integrated society. It's not about black, and we can't have just black people having our own nation and our own economic system and blah, 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 blah. We need to be one with everyone. Okay. That's a valid discussion, a valid argument if you take that position. But why is it that when a black man is with a white woman, which basically is the result of an integrationist, philosophy, if you're an integrationist in your philosophy, that means that it's all, the free market when it comes to who you're going to be with. Why do you complain if a black man ends up with a white woman? You put yourself into the open market. You weren't about nationalism. So now he becomes a sellout, and he's a ignorant, weak nigga. Contradiction. It's not falling in line with your general overall philosophy. I consider myself, for lack of a better definition, a black nationalist in my thinking. I'm always thinking about things from a nation perspective and looking at issues on how they affect us as a nation of people. Um, Compared to most people who see us as a scattered group of individualists aligned by aesthetic similarities, but then when they come to discussing things, they want to discuss it as a collective. And my philosophical standpoint on that is, if you're not going to treat black people as a nation of people, stop talking about us as a collective group and just talk about things on an individual level. If something's bothering you individually, talk about it from an individual standpoint. But don't talk collective and nation when you don't want nation. Don't talk about reparations when you're just an individual and you don't believe black people should have a nation. So get that issue off of your table. You know, we need to talk about things from a collective standpoint, and that's where I'm coming from. But to get back to the point about men, a man has to define his reality, have others submit to his definition as if it were their own. And we have not done that in this society. White men rule this society. That's just a fact. Like I mentioned before in my other videos, there are 4 pillars of nationhood and power structures. You got the economic power structure. Who controls the economic power structure in America? White men. You got political. Who controls the political power structure in this country? White men. And I know some people out there are mumbling, well, Barack is president. Yeah. But just because I put a certain thing on the window of my storefront, that doesn't mean that's what's inside of the store. And if anybody is crazy enough to think that because Barack Obama is going to be the president of the United States, that now black people collectively control politics, that is such mind-numbing stupidity that I can't even address it. You figure out how dumb that is. I'm not even going to approach that. Then you got the military power structure. Who controls the military power structure in this country? Do black people control it or white men? White men. Wow, that's 3. What's left? We got communications, media, propaganda. That's all wrapped up into one. Who controls that in America? What do you know? White men. So white men control all the power structures in this society. What black man do you know of, this a real man, that feels comfortable with that? Knowing that you have to walk and talk and act a certain way, or else that power structure will come crashing down around you, right on top of your head. We can accept as men what the reality is, but a real man will try to change that reality. A real man will be an unreasonable man, and the unreasonable man expects the world to adapt to him. The reasonable man adapts to the world that's around him. I'm the unreasonable man, and I'm quite sure that I'm not alone. And what people like us need to do is start hooking up, connecting with one another, and I totally agree with you on that. We need to stop engaging in this bullshit that divides us and start coming together as black men, period. Thugs, nice guys, good guys, blue collar, white collar, I don't give a damn what you're calling yourself. We're all black men. And that's all I got to say about that. Good video. Peace. One love.